In the deep corners of the galaxy, where ancient empires ruled and star systems burned with war, something unexpected happened. A small ship appeared, quiet and unnoticed, entering neutral space near the old trading routes. It didn't have powerful weapons. It didn't fly any flags. It simply arrived, slow and silent, like a shadow drifting between stars. It was Earth's first step into the wider galaxy. The great alien races laughed when they saw the humans. They were too late, they said. The galaxy had already been divided. The powerful species had already fought and claimed their space. What could this weak, new species do? Their technology was not the best. Their ships were smaller. Their weapons were simple. The humans didn't argue. They listened. They smiled. And they learned. While others shouted, humans listened. While others showed strength, humans watched patterns. They walked through markets and trade zones, talked with travelers, asked quiet questions. They collected stories, observed habits, studied weaknesses that even the oldest species have forgotten about themselves. They didn't try to control. They didn't try to impress. But they remembered everything. At the Galactic Council, humans sent a diplomat named Aria. She was calm, careful, and always polite. She spoke less and watched more. Other diplomats ignored her. They thought she was just another useless visitor from a backward world. But Aria kept showing up. She took notes. She understood the rules. And soon, she found the holes in those rules, cracks no one else noticed. Humans began offering help to small planets, not in return for power, but in return for information. Let us fix your trade system, they said. We will improve your water system. We'll repair your broken satellites. In return, they asked for access. Access to data, travel routes, and supply lines. The planets agreed. It was a good deal. After all, the humans asked for no control, no taxes, no armies, only data, only permission to help. What no one realized was that these small deals were the start of something much bigger. Within a few years, humans were everywhere, but never at the center. They were the advisors in alien governments, the engineers fixing broken systems, the translators between species that couldn't speak to each other. They were never loud, never proud, but they were always there. And slowly, systems began to rely on them. A mining colony near the star zone of Zenthus suddenly saw its production triple. Why? Because a human named Elias had redesigned their supply chain. A border station that had constant attacks now enjoyed full security. Why? Because a small human team had quietly trained their local guards. These weren't battles. These weren't wars. But they were victories, and the galaxy didn't even notice who was winning. One day, an alien captain named Vorek noticed something strange. He had traveled across 5 star systems, and in every one, human systems were quietly running in the background. Power grids, communication systems, food distribution, all had been upgraded by humans. He asked his council, how did this happen? No one had a clear answer. Back on Earth, no one declared victory. There were no grand speeches. No one raised flags or built statues. But behind locked doors in underground stations, human planners looked at the map of the galaxy and smiled. They were not in control yet, but the web was growing. The connections were forming, and no one even knew what the humans were really building. Aria sent a report to Earth. They still do not see us as dangerous. That is our greatest strength. By the time the older empires began to notice, it was already too late. Humans had arrived quietly. But now, they were part of everything. Not rulers, not invaders, just necessary. And in the galaxy, when something becomes necessary, it becomes powerful. A small species, once laughed at, had stepped into the galactic stage without a gun, without an army, and without warning. And the stars were watching. The galaxy kept spinning. Trade ships moved between stars, diplomats argued in councils, and old rivalries burned as they always had. But something in the background was changing. It wasn't loud. It wasn't fast. But it was everywhere. And the ones behind it were human. They never asked for power. They never demanded seats at the top. But they kept showing up, helping, fixing, watching. They were not soldiers. They were not kings. They were observers, quiet watchers. On the desert moon of Jarnus, a farming system had collapsed after a major drought. 3 alien governments sent aid, but nothing worked. Then a single human arrived. Her name was Leela, a food engineer. She didn't bring big machines or ships full of supplies. She brought simple tech and clever ideas. Within a month, the farms produced more food than ever before. The locals celebrated. They called it a miracle. Leela simply smiled and moved on to the next world. This happened again, and again, and again. Slowly, rumors spread. Humans know things we don't, people whispered. They fix what our leaders cannot. But there were no clear answers. There was no army behind the humans, no empire, just individuals, doctors, engineers, planners, helping in small ways. But behind those small ways were eyes. Earth had built a system, a quiet, massive intelligence web. Every time a human helped a planet, they collected data. Every system repaired was logged, every map updated, every cultural detail stored, not to use immediately, but to understand. Human analysts back on Earth were building a complete picture of the galaxy. Politics, behavior, weaknesses, desires. Other species had power. Humans had understanding. And understanding, when deep enough, becomes dangerous. On the trade world of Velian, a small argument between 2 alien guilds turned into a violent riot. The local council struggled to stop it, but a human man named Devon stepped forward. He was not a soldier. He was a sociologist. He walked into the middle of the chaos and spoke 5 lines in 5 different alien languages. Within 10 minutes, the riot stopped. People say it was magic, but it wasn't magic. It was preparation. Devon had studied the cultures, the old conflicts, the personal histories of the guild leaders. He knew what to say. More importantly, he knew when to say it. After the incident, a young alien asked Devon, "Why are you helping everyone?" Devon replied, "Because everyone thinks we're harmless. That gives us time." That answer spread like a whisper that grew into worry. The powerful empires started asking questions. Why are humans on every council team? Why are human engineers leading so many rebuilding projects? Why do our people trust humans more than their own leaders? But there was no law against human help, and there was no proof of anything wrong. That's how the humans liked it. Meanwhile, in Earth's deep observation command, hundreds of operators watched galactic activity in real time. Each one studied a different planet, a different culture, a different threat. They didn't send orders to attack. They sent strategies, ideas, quiet nudges, a trade deal here, a gift there, a friendly visit to the right leader at the right time. It was slow, it was quiet, but it worked. One alien commander, a wise and old strategist named Kern, finally saw it. "We're not being attacked," he said. "We're being surrounded, gently, carefully, with a smile." Kern warned his council, "The humans are not weak. They're watching us all. And when the time comes, they won't need to conquer. We'll already be standing where they want us to stand." Some laughed at him. Some didn't. Back on Earth, Aria received another message. It was short. "We are no longer strangers. We are part of the system. No one sees us as a threat. That's how we win." Humans didn't build empires with guns. They built influence with patience. They watched. They waited. They learned. And now, the galaxy was starting to feel the weight of that watching. Not with war, not with fire, but with silence that felt like power. And the ones who once ignored humanity had begun to look over their shoulders. Across the galaxy, things began to run more smoothly. Trade delays dropped. Conflicts grew smaller. Energy systems became more stable. People thought it was luck, or maybe progress. But someone behind the scenes knew better. It was the humans. They had built something. Quietly, slowly, patiently. A system, a network, a silent web that now reached from one corner of the galaxy to the other. No one noticed it at first, because it wasn't one giant structure. It was made of thousands of small parts. One communication relay here, one translation algorithm there, a water purification update on a poor moon, a new data chip in an old ship. Piece by piece, the humans had upgraded the galaxy. And with every upgrade, they gained control. Not the kind of control that screams, not the kind that uses armies. This was different. It was quiet control. The kind you don't see until it's too late. On the frozen world of Terras, a government official tried to cut off all human systems from his region. He believed the humans had too much influence. He wanted independence. Within 3 days, all of Terra's major systems failed. The energy grid collapsed. The food distribution center stopped working. The medical ag refused to run diagnostics. The people panicked. They didn't understand what had happened, but the humans did. Their systems weren't just tools anymore. They were roots. They were deep in the ground of every society, powering, guiding, connecting. And when those roots were pulled out, everything fell. A quiet message came from a human diplomat. We can help you restore everything. No charge. Terras said yes. They didn't try to fight again. On the trading hub of Sora Prime, a merchant named Calyx made a strange discovery. His entire cargo route, hundreds of light years long, had been optimized by a human eye. He never asked for it. He never paid for it. But his profits had doubled. He investigated and found the same was true for hundreds of other merchants. Quiet human programs were running in the background, improving routes, reducing fuel use, predicting pirate attacks. It was like someone had upgraded the entire galaxy's operating system. Calyx asked the human engineer why they were doing it. The engineer smiled and said, "When everything works better, everyone depends on what works." And that was the truth. The galaxy was becoming dependent on humans. They had better translators, better problem solvers, better strategies. They had trained with every species, learned every culture, and adapted faster than anyone expected. But the most dangerous thing wasn't their knowledge. It was their invisibility. People didn't see them as powerful. Even now, most alien leaders thought of humans as helpers, not players. As supporters, not builders. But they were wrong. In a hidden lab on Earth's moon base, a team called the Core ran simulations. They could predict the outcome of any galactic vote weeks in advance. They could crash an economy in 3 days. They could redirect entire fleets using trade lures instead of threats. And no one knew. They didn't need guns. They had gravity. Not the kind that pulls bodies, the kind that pulls decisions. An alien general named T-Vale, leader of the Rax Dominion, tried to launch a small attack against a human-supported moon. Not to start war, just to remind humans of their place. Before his ships arrived, they stopped. Not because they were destroyed, but because their fuel shipments were delayed. Their map systems became corrupted. Their trade routes were rerouted. No one saw human warships. But the invasion failed before it began. T-Vale went silent after that. Other powers watched, now more carefully. Something was wrong, they felt. Something was happening. The humans were everywhere. In the systems, in the code, in the decisions. But never in front of the camera. Never on the throne. Always just behind the curtain. The galaxy was now caught in a web. A silent web. Built by human minds. And no one could escape it. Not with war. Not with laws. Not even with fear. Because the humans weren't controlling with force. They were guiding with need. The galaxy needed them. And that was more powerful than any army ever created. For years, the galaxy had watched humans with amusement, then with curiosity, then with respect. But now, some began to feel something new. Fear. It started quietly. A question asked behind closed doors. A whisper passed in council halls. Who gave the humans so much control? No one had a clear answer. One by one, alien leaders began to notice how deep human influence had gone. It wasn't just technology. It wasn't just advice or support. Humans were shaping decisions, not directly, but by being everywhere decisions were made. On the city world of Velex, a high-ranking advisor named Sura reviewed the latest updates on trade systems. Out of 20 key routes, 18 had been optimized by human AIs. Out of 30 major communication hubs, 25 used human-made translators, and all major energy networks had human-designed backups. Sura frowned. "This is not support," she said to her team. "This is ownership." The others looked at each other, uncomfortable. Still, no one spoke against it publicly. Why? Because it was working. The systems were more stable than ever before. Crime was down. Profits were up. Hunger had fallen on dozens of worlds. Everything looked good. But Sura saw past that. "They don't need armies," she said. "We gave them everything. And we thank them for it." On another world, a young alien journalist named Ren began researching the spread of human systems. His report shocked even him. Human-led programs had rewritten legal codes on 9 planets. Their education systems had been adopted by over 100 colonies. Human diplomats were mediating ancient conflicts better than any neutral council had in 1,000 years. How did we not see this? Ren asked aloud. The answer was simple. Because the humans never asked for power. They earned trust. And with trust came access. And with access came control. In the war-hardened empire of Sarn, a retired general named Bract was the first to say it clearly. "We are no longer the apex species," he growled in front of his war council. "We didn't lose a war. We lost control. And we didn't even notice it happening." One commander asked, "Should we act?" But Bract shook his head. Against what? Against who? The humans have no throne. No single leader. No capital to strike. They're not standing above us. They're underneath everything. Like roots. And if we cut those roots, everything falls. Even the most aggressive species in the galaxy found themselves stuck. If they tried to push humans out, they risked shutting down their own systems. They risked riots, economic collapse, or worse, losing the trust of their own people, who now depended on human systems to live, work, and survive. One alien government voted to remove all human-made AI from their sector. 2 days later, they begged for it to be reinstalled. Hospitals stopped working. Their transport systems failed. Even their voting system glitched. People panicked. No one had the knowledge to fix what the humans had built. On Earth, in a hidden mountain base, a group of quiet men and women watched it all happen. They didn't cheer. They didn't smile. They just took notes. One of them, a woman named Director Mara, turned to her team and said, "We are past the point of visibility. They know, but they can't move." A silence followed. Then she added, "This is the moment when fear begins. And once fear starts, control becomes permanent." In the Galactic Council, more alien species demanded an investigation. "Are the humans building an empire?" they asked. "Are they taking over?" But there was no proof. The humans had no soldiers stationed anywhere. They had no official government in galactic space. They had never declared war. And yet, no one could challenge them. Because to challenge them would be to unplug the entire galaxy from itself. Every major star system was now linked to human systems. Every decision passed through invisible filters. Every problem, every solution, quietly reviewed and influenced by human hands. The most dangerous empire in the galaxy didn't even look like one. And finally, one alien elder, old and wise, said the words that many feared to hear. "We were looking for warships," he said, "but the humans conquered us with code, with kindness, and with time. It wasn't a fast invasion. It was slow, patient, perfect." And now, the galaxy had woken up, far too late. The galaxy was uneasy. Everyone now understood what had happened. Humans had taken quiet control. Not with guns, not with fear, but with trust, data, and slow, careful moves. Most species accepted it. Some even welcomed it. But not all. One ancient empire, the Varn Dominion, refused to bow. They were proud, warlike, and old. Older than Earth's first satellites. Their leader, Grand Executor Maltran, believed strength came only from force. "We are not ruled by whispers," he shouted to his generals. "We will not be puppets of soft words and hidden systems." The Varn decided to act. First, they disconnected all human systems, communication filters, health networks, data grids. They blocked human engineers, banned human diplomats, and removed all human-made tech from their territory. The galaxy held its breath. Would the humans fight back? Would they finally show force? But nothing happened. No warships, no threats, no message. Maltran smiled. "See, they are cowards, parasites. They hide behind systems, but they fear real war." For the first few days, it seemed he was right. The Varn systems kept working. Barely. Then, the cracks began to show. Their navigation system, once powered by human algorithms, began giving errors. Their food shipments, once routed by human trade as, arrived late or spoiled. Their news networks, once stabilized by human code, began to spread chaos. Small problems turned into big ones. One city lost power. Another had a water shortage. Protests broke out on 3 planets. Hospitals overflowed. A cargo ship crashed due to bad flight data. Their entire network had become fragile. And worst of all, no one could fix it. Maltran ordered emergency teams to rebuild the old systems. But too much had changed. Too much was connected to human code. Their own engineers didn't understand how to restore what was lost. He sent a secret message to a human outpost. "Assist us. We will pay." Quietly. But the humans didn't reply. Because this time, they weren't watching as helpers. They were watching as judges. The collapse was slow but real. Within 1 month, the mighty Varn Dominion had fallen into chaos. Not because humans attacked, but because they stepped back. No war, just absence. And the galaxy saw everything. One by one, other species whispered the same words. "Without the humans, we are weaker." Even Maltran, once proud and unbending, stood before a broken command table in silence. His generals gone, his fleets grounded, his people starving. He looked at the sky and said, "They never fired a single shot." Back on Earth, the Deep Coordination Council received the report. No one smiled. No one celebrated. Because this was never about destruction. It was about proof. A message was quietly sent to the Galactic Network. No threats, just a simple sentence. "We do not need to control you. But without us, you already fall." From that day forward, no empire challenged the humans openly again. They didn't need to be feared. They had already become necessary. And necessity was the new kind of power. The galaxy had gone quiet. Since the fall of the Varn Dominion, no one dared to speak against the humans. But fear was growing. Not because of war, but because of silence. Everyone now understood. Humans didn't need to fight. They only needed to disappear, and when they did, everything broke. One man wanted answers. Chancellor Drovik of the Zell Unity was the most powerful political leader in the galaxy. His voice could start trade wars. His signature could unite whole star systems. He had ruled for 40 years with wisdom and control. But now, he felt powerless. His advisors whispered fears. His commander spoke of invisible chains, and his own data systems, almost 70%, relied on quiet human technology. So Drovik made a decision. He would not declare war. He would not ask for favors. He would ask for the truth. He sent a private signal, encrypted, hidden behind layers of dead satellites and black market code. Only one person received it. Director Mera, the quiet voice of Earth's hidden council. The reply came in 5 words. Meet us. Cold Sector 7. No location, no time, no instructions. And yet, Chancellor Drovik understood. He boarded a stealth ship alone without his guards. No assistants, no cameras, just him and a cloak of silence. The journey took him to the edge of the known galaxy, a forgotten ice planet covered in snow and storms. No cities, no lights, just wind. He landed near a frozen crater and walked through the storm. There, under the ice, he found a hidden entrance. No guards, no weapons, just a door that opened by itself. Inside, warmth, lights, and waiting at the end of a long hallway, a human. Director Mera. Tall, calm, eyes like they'd seen 1,000 secrets. Why am I here? Drovik asked. She didn't answer with words. She turned and walked deeper into the base. He followed. They moved through long tunnels made of steel and light, through quiet labs, past strange machines. Drovik saw maps, not of stars, but of influence. Graphs showing social shifts, diagrams of trade balance, patterns of decision-making across hundreds of planets. What is this? He asked. Mera finally stopped. This, she said, is the real galaxy. Drovik frowned. Explain. You see systems, she said. We see behavior, reactions, patterns, every vote, every conflict, every price change, every whisper. We don't control the galaxy. We read it. Better than anyone else. She pointed to a screen showing simulations, choices, options, results. You lead with power, she continued. We lead with prediction. Drovik's voice dropped. So this is your weapon? No, she said. This is our shield. You fear us because we can break things. But that's not our goal. Then what is? She looked at him and replied, stability. He laughed, cold and bitter. You call this peace? You made everyone your dependent. We didn't force them, Mera said. They chose us. Because we worked. We fixed what others broke. And now, they stay because we don't fail. Drovik fell silent. Deep down, he knew it was true. The galaxy had been chaos before humans. Too many wars, too many greedy leaders, too many lies. Humans had cleaned the mess, but now, they held the mop. Why show me this? He asked. Because, Mera said, you're not our enemy. You're a leader who still believes in the old way, and that way is dying. Drovik stared at the glowing screens. Billions of lives tracked, studied, predicted. It felt cold, mechanical, but also safe. I could expose this, he warned. Mera nodded. Yes, you could. But if I did? She didn't smile, didn't threaten, just answered simply. Then we step away, and you'll watch your unity fall in 6 months. Not because we attack, but because the systems will collapse. Slowly, quietly, like they did for the Varn. Drovik closed his eyes. He knew it wasn't a bluff. He had seen it happen. When he opened his eyes again, he asked only one question. What do you want from me? Mera handed him a small data chip. Nothing. No oath. No loyalty. Just understanding. He took it, left the base. Never spoke of what he saw. But when he returned to the Zell Unity, he changed everything. He stopped resisting human influence and began working with them. The galaxy didn't know what he saw under the ice, but they felt the change. And quietly, without war, humanity grew even stronger. Not because they forced obedience, but because even the most powerful leaders now feared what would happen without them. For years, the galaxy had changed. Quietly, slowly, irreversibly. Humans had never sent warships. They had never demanded loyalty. They never raised a flag over alien cities. And yet, they were everywhere. In systems, in laws, in education, in defense, in thought. But still, some leaders held on to one last belief. They may control things now, but they will never lead. They were wrong. It began with a small announcement, unnoticed by most. A new council was forming, not a political one, not military, something different. The Unified Advancement Directive. No flags, no army, no capital. Just a mission. Coordinate the future of the galaxy for the benefit of all. Most species laughed. Another human idea, they said. Just more guidance. But something changed. For the first time in galactic history, over 200 systems signed the agreement in the first 24 hours. By the end of the week, 500 more. And the humans, they didn't even speak. They just listened. They let the others choose. One by one, species joined, not by pressure, but by choice. Because everyone had learned the same lesson. With the humans, things worked. Without them, they didn't. A major alien news network ran a headline. Are the humans taking over? The answer came from the Chancellor of the Zell Unity himself, the same man who once resisted them. His reply: no, we gave it to them, because they are the only ones who never tried to take it. That line was repeated across billions of networks. Meanwhile, in deep space, far from the public eye, Earth's hidden council gathered for the last time. Director Mara stood at the center. All phases complete, said one advisor. Mara looked around. Her face was calm, but her eyes were cold with precision. Begin the transition, she said. Across the galaxy, something invisible happened. Old systems were retired. New ones activated. Artificial intelligence that had been quietly monitoring infrastructure stepped back and allowed local versions to take over, guided by human design. It looked like humans were letting go. But that was the brilliance. They didn't need to control systems anymore. The systems had become human in nature. Their logic, their design, their stability. Even without direct human input, the galaxy now thought like Earth. Mara's voice echoed in the command room. We were never here to rule. We were here to show them how to survive themselves. And now, they cannot survive without what we've given. The last move was not war. It was dependency. Not through fear, but through reliability. And that was a kind of power no empire had ever mastered. One alien historian wrote, "Humanity did not conquer us. They just became the most dangerous species in the galaxy, because they made us believe we needed them more than we needed ourselves." In one final act of transformation, the humans shut down their own council. There was no longer any need for secret planning. Because now, the galaxy was the system they had built. Director Mara retired. The hidden base under the ice powered down. Earth fell silent. But nothing stopped. Trade continued. Peace remained. Conflicts were resolved faster. New colonies were built stronger. Education systems advanced rapidly. And yet, no one saw the humans in control anymore. That was the final move. To make control unnecessary. To make leadership invisible. To build something so perfect that it didn't need them anymore, while still being built on them. The galaxy had not been conquered. It had been rewritten. And the final line in every system's root code, whether they knew it or not, read: Framework, human origin, permanent.